the good news about the 12-team playoff is that more and more teams are going to get these 5-star recruits because they're going to be like, oh, you were like 13th last year. If I go to your team, maybe we can get into the playoff. Oh, you're in the top 25. Maybe you can get into the playoff next year. And plus, which it's silly that they never got this before, the best group of 5 team gets an automatic bid to go into the first round or wherever they seed. You know, whoever wins their conference championship and is the highest ranked, I think, is the way that's going to work. I need to double check that, but that's the way I've heard it works anyways. Mm-hmm. So one of those teams that never got to be represented before, except for when Cincinnati actually went the 1 year, you know, they don't have to work 2 years in a row of like undefeated seasons to prove that they're going now. They just have one really good season and they can make it into the playoff.
Boy, was I so hot when I first found out that was the rule a couple of years ago. I think Greg was there for that. Just listening to it, I was just like,
Which rule?
It's just like about the fact that you have to have 2 great years in order for you to make it to the college football playoffs if you're the lower 5 conferences. It's just like that is garbage, and
it's not something that they would ever come out and say. It's just fact. It's just the way it's been. Like UCF had a really good season where they were undefeated, barely didn't make it in, beat Auburn, had an almost perfect season the next year, but lost like 1 or 2 games, and they were like, nope.
Yeah, you don't even get it. You don't even get to talk about it. It's just...
So you falter at all, and it's just like, okay, sorry, group of 5, you don't get a chance.
Yeah, group of 5, and I'm sorry I call them lower 5, but it's essentially that's what it is. And
that's the way they're treated. That's the way
they are.
Yeah.
I say that phrasing not because I dislike them. I love Western Michigan. I love so many group of 5 conference games and teams and stuff like that. I really do. I've been to so many of them and appreciate every single university. But that's just the thing about this whole convoluted system that we have. We have a hierarchy within a league. That should not exist. That doesn't exist in any other sport except for college football. It doesn't make any sense, and it just makes me want to pull my hair out every time I listen to people's logic of why it has to exist. It exists nowhere except for college football. You have 133 teams, and you told 70 of them that they don't matter.
Yeah, and it's
at the beginning of the year, 70 teams don't exist in my eyes. Nah. Like I can't. Like they don't. I don't want to hear them. Like that's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous. If you have 133 teams, all 133 teams need to be represented and have the opportunity to go to the national championship. They need to have that ability. Now they have to prove themselves just like every other season does. We have so many things and criteria that we talk about, 13 criteria at the current moment in the current college football committee, and none of them talk about the fact that the players play on a gridiron and that teams win and that teams lose. The teams that win should make it. The teams that lose should not. It is that freaking simple. Like at the very end of the day,
that's what you should value the most. Yeah,
it's what you should value absolutely the most. Do they get spanked in the championship game? Maybe. We don't know. Like a lot of times we do, because it's like, okay, yeah, Toledo went up against this team. Ooh, they look like they got spanked in their bowl game. But we don't always know that. Like especially the year that Western Michigan had to take on Wisconsin, they lost to Wisconsin, but they didn't lose like it was a tremendous amount. They actually were just 8 points behind, and they almost had the comeback win, like tie that they were looking for, but they intercepted the ball at the last play. 6 seconds left on the 30-yard line, interception. Oh well, it happened. But that was a good game. That was a good game. That's all I want to say.
This is something I'll talk about later episode, and I got this from somebody else that I watch, Joel Klatt. Shout out. He basically he talks about teams having an out pitch. Yeah. Hi. Hi, I'm Nobody Podcast over here.
Sorry.
No, so he it talks about teams having an out pitch, and your out pitch is you're like, we need somebody to make a play. Hey, go over there and make a play. Like it's what Bryce Young used to be in college
Mhm.
football. It's what Marvin Harrison Jr. was for Ohio State in almost every game that they played in. Like if they're in a close game, they needed an out pitch, and he was the one. Yeah, he because he's such an amazing athlete, and the out pitch that Wisconsin had that year was their crazy tight end that we couldn't figure out how to stop because he was giant. He moved like he wasn't giant, and he could catch the ball no matter where you threw it. So you're
Yeah,
just
that
like,
guy was a
that's third down and
monster.
8. Here you go,
We did
automatic
we did
first down.
we did not lose to
It's
Wis-
just like,
Yeah, we did not lose to
oh,
Wisconsin. We lost to a tight end that was big boy Harris. Like that was just a big boy.
mm-hmm. Yeah. You
I
don't forget when you lose to a player like that, man. It's just like,
Yeah,
holy
like
crap.
I didn't feel like Wisconsin beat us. I felt like a tight end beat us. And the rest of the team was there like, "Hey, we helped too." It's just like, "Okay, yeah, you did."
Yeah, but he might have distracted everybody else when we were playing good
Yeah.
plays, but
Yeah. Man, that boy was good. It was a good game. That was a very fun game. I enjoyed that game
mm-hmm.
immensely. And
It was amazing
that's
to see them play like that too. So
and that's the biggest thing too that like I just want to get to the point of understanding is that there should be no group of 5. There should be no power 5. There should be teams and rankings
and conferences.
and conferences that all coexist in a ideology that like the reason why you're part of this conference is because you have regional pride, you have group pride, you have the idea that like you want to do the best and be the best of your conference. Because that's huge. It's not to say that I want
Mm-hmm.
to root for everyone in my conference. Hell no. Like I can't stand Miami. Like Miami and Florida can go just go away. Like they could just go away. I can't stand the city, I cannot stand the school, and I cannot stand their football team. Like I just don't like Miami. And that's personal preference. I grew up hating them. So realize that comes with
And
a level
it's
of it is what it
and it's
is.
funny,
Yeah.
yeah, because I have the because I'm U of M, so naturally Ohio State the game.
Yeah.
Also, that's been an amazing game to watch the past 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Um, but I've also it's hilarious because you say you don't like the city too. I used to hate Columbus. I used to be like that's a terrible place. Don't go there. And I was even though I'd never been there before. And then I went there one time to hang out for a weekend, and
It was fun. Yeah, we
it
had a
was
good
a
time.
cool city. I
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
liked it, and I was just like,
Yeah.
damn it, I don't have a
Yeah.
reason to not like this place.
Yeah. No,
Besides the football team.
I actually been to Miami. I did a lot of work in Miami, and I don't like Miami. I just don't. It's fine. It is what it is. But
Yeah, yeah.
I just what I'm the point of the statement I was trying to make is that like I don't care about loyalty to the conference, which is another big SEC talking point. Like I don't have loyalty to my conference. I have loyalty to my team and I want to be the best in my conference. And the reason why sometimes we've developed this loyalty to the conference is because we have to justify why
Hmm.
our conference is good in
Yeah.
order for us to get our team to make it, which is dumb. Like they're
Like our school, Western Michigan, in the MAC, we love every MAC team because we just want them to go somewhere and do something when
yeah,
they're really good.
I root for every single MAC team because I just want them to beat other teams. I want them to beat Power 5 teams.
Yeah.
I just want them every time a MAC school goes up against a Power 5 team, I am over heels elated when we win. Like I am just
Hmm.
ecstatic, including Central Michigan, which is our full-time hatred for Western Michigan's team. Like we don't like Central, but we root for them religiously when they go take on Oklahoma State and upset them. And
Yeah.
when you go into like I'm a huge Central fan when it comes to that, just because I want to justify that our teams are good. And it doesn't mean that
Hmm.
they are necessarily good. This year, both Central and Western was a pile of like poop. Like they were just bad. Like they were just a
Yeah.
poopy
Yeah.
butthole team, and it just was not good. And it's okay. That happens. I'm not mad about that. But Toledo's good. Toledo is good.
It's
You
really
just
good.
didn't even acknowledge Toledo at
Miami
all.
of Ohio too. Miami of
Miami of
Ohio is
Ohio
also
beat
really
Toledo,
good.
which was really good. They were
They're
both
both
really good
so good.
teams. One of them at least won their bowl game, I think. I can't remember. I don't quote me on that. I wasn't really watching a lot of bowl games this year.
There are so many bowl games I lost track of
Yeah, I know.
all
I
the
know
things.
Toledo lost to like Wyoming or something like that. I know that happened.
I can't remember the score though.
It's like 19-15. It was really close. Um,
Hmm.
but anyways, regardless of all of these talking points, I just like I hate that I have to root for conference games. I ended up rooting for Miami this year because they took on Texas A&M the first week of the season because I just wanted Texas A&M to lose because they were an SEC team. I just want all of these teams to lose. I want all these SEC teams to lose because I'm just so tired of the bias that SEC teams are just that much better. They're just that good. They're not just that good. They are just like every other conference. They are just like every other team in the nation. They want to win football games. They go and they try to prove themselves by winning football games. And I don't want to have a hatred towards SEC. I want to have a understanding that man, that conference is the best conference in the nation because they proved it, not because you said so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like, especially now that we know that Nick Saban is no longer going to be coaching Alabama, he's retired. Will be known as potentially the best uh, college football coach of all time.
Oh, he's on my list.
Is Alabama going to be great now? I mean, they were great. They were great quite a bit before Saban, which I figured out. I found out like earlier today because that's where Bear Bryant coached, and he's like a famous college football
Yeah,
coach from back in the day.
Alabama has two of the best coaches of all time.
Yeah, Bear
Yeah.
Bryant's he's like one of the few who
Mm,
actually has some better stats than Nick Saban does when it comes to like winning and winning percentage and all that stuff. And it's like
yeah,
you've had two of the best like college football coaches who have ever coached,
yeah.
and
Like
it's
props.
it's gonna be a long time potentially before you get somebody else who's going to do the same thing. So I mean, Alabama has a lot of talent. They have a lot of obviously they're just a recruiting train. Um, so it's going to be a while, but I don't think that they're going to be what they were in a couple seasons. That's just my prediction, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
We'll
I don't know
have to
how long
see
you
who
can ride.
takes.
I don't know how long you can ride the coattails of somebody like Nick Saban.
You can't just fill in where a legacy once was. Like
Yeah,
we ran.
like when Bobby left Florida
Yeah,
State.
Bobby Bowden left. I mean, Jimbo couldn't keep up, and he kept up for a little bit because Bobby was there to help him. Because he never left. Bobby actually never left the university. He was always there, and he
I
never.
didn't
And
know
I'm
that.
not.
Huh.
I'm not taking away Jimbo Fisher's national championship per se, but I am saying that like Bobby Bowden was always there. He was always there to keep supporting the team. He lived. I mean, I've driven past his house in Tallahassee many times. Like I know where he lives, or I know where he did live because he passed away. Rest in peace, buddy. Um, I I can't imagine like I mean, look how long it took Florida State to get Mike Norvell, and look how long it took Mike Norvell to turn the program around. He didn't turn it around in one game, one season. It took him 4 seasons to get to where he is now, and that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just which is just another more reason why it's bitter. But I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. It'll happen.
Saving
Um,
it,
I'm
saving it for
saving it. I'm
later.
saving it for later. I have a whole spiel. Um, it's just like the overarching talking points I want to have when it comes to conferences and conference play and why they do what they do is that we have to just get to a consensus that conferences are designed to see if you're the best in the area. Big Ten is the Midwest.
Yeah.
Pac 12 was the South. SEC was the
Pac
Southeast.
12. Pac
Big
12 was
12.
the West. Oh,
Big
you mean
12.
Big 12? Yeah,
Big
Big 12.
12.
Yep.
Pac 12 is the West Coast. Um, You have Conference USA, who's a hodgepodge of a mess. You have the
Oh, they have been for so long.
AAC, which is a hodgepodge of a mess. You have the Atlantic Coast Conference, which is supposed to be all the East Coast, and then Notre Dame decided to, step one foot in and step one foot out, which is stupid. Join the MAC. It is one of those. Just do it. Join the MAC, dude. It's right there. It's right there for the ticket. You want to win games in Notre Dame. You want to go. You want to go national championship. You join the MAC. You won't lose.
Mac.
You won't lose. And if you lose, it's your fault.
We always used to joke about this. Notre Dame, choose a damn conference. Like, join the MAC.
Choose a
That was
damn
always our
conference.
But guess what? Notre Dame, now it's a legitimate thing because if you're the highest ranked group of 5 school, you get to go to the national.
You get to go.
You get to go.
You get to go. Join the MAC. Join the MAC. Join us, you brother in love. We love you. Join us.
Of course, Notre Dame, if you're ranked high enough, you could probably make it in as like a wild card person. But
isn't that annoying
You're
too?
really gonna leave it up to chance, especially when you don't have a conference championship to put on your resume. Like, that is such a huge detriment. Even in this current playoff system and not our own, it is a huge detriment. It's like, what is he drawing?
I'm drawing the MAC. Neck. I've been wanting to
draw.
I've been pitching
draw like that.
I have so many Facebook messages and like old Twitter tweets of me just saying Notre Dame joined the MAC for years now. I've been trying to pitch this so hard for so long. Join a conference and join the MAC. Do it.
This is the best chance. This is your time. Yeah.
Do it, you won't.
No, it's funny because it's like, I think people think, oh, well, they're gonna lose all their like independent contracts and whatnot. I'm like, they're gonna follow them. They're Notre Dame. Why would they stop?
It's like, Notre Dame. It's the most iconic football team in the world. It's where Rudy came from. They're gonna do things. Just join a conference, man.
What am I trying to say? If the contracts, I don't know. There's like contracts that you have to follow when you join a conference and go off of their laws and whatever, blah blah blah. But I mean, you could probably just bring your own networks with you still.
Okay,
like, I don't know how that would interfere.
Gerg, you're making the assumption that contracts matter in college football. And that's the thing that's driving me nuts about all these things. Oh, it's a contract. It's a contract. You have to do the contract. Okay, Jimbo Fisher was piss garbage and got paid more than any other college football coach in the nation right now.
Oh, I was talking about media rights, not contracts.
Oh, media rights is a little
media
different.
Rights
okay,
stuff.
that's fine. But
yeah,
still, the argument still semi applies. Contracts are just liabilities until they're not. Until they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go do this anyways. That's what's the problem with the portal right now with the players. There's no loyalty. There's no contractual agreement to keep anybody anymore because it's just like, I'm just gonna stay here, I'm not gonna stay here. I'm just gonna leave.
I was gonna say that needs to be fixed because they can just
whatever they want,
move around multiple times throughout their careers, and you're just like, this is not
This isn't NFL.
I don't really want to get into it because that's a whole conversation on its own.
Yeah, it is. We are super sidetracked.
Yeah.
We're probably going to cut all of this out. It's never going to see the light of day. Garbage. Please use shorts, by the way, Kurt. I appreciate it. Some of this stuff is good. But yeah, that's it. That's literally it. That's what it comes down to. The playoff system is ridiculous. The conferences are ridiculous. The portal is ridiculous. The committee is ridiculous.
The only thing that's not ridiculous,
my hair is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's true.
Very ridiculous right now.
The only thing that's not ridiculous is the fact that we are expanding to 12 teams, and
that's better.
It's going to open up the playing field to a lot more teams of not only having a chance but feeling like they can recruit the best people so that they can have a better chance, because Michigan they won the national championship this year, but the past like 3 or 4 recruiting classes have not been in the top 10. They've been like top 25, but they haven't been the best. And their overall like rating of a team wasn't even in the top 10 this year. Like their average talent wasn't even the top 10. It was like it was at least ninth or something like that. Like if like the average, their score, and they
Mm-hmm.
made everybody else look foolish except for, I mean, Alabama kind of was able to compete with them obviously, but
Mm-hmm. They were
it's
behind the
but
entire game.
it's but this is what I heard earlier today. It gives teams a lot of hope when you see a team like Michigan win it all and win it convincingly, like outright. And I don't know. It was a really good way to end the college football 4 team playoff system that was broken in quite a few different ways, and now we have other problems that we have to deal with. But uh,
I mean,
12 team playoff is going to open it up a lot.
it will, but it
So,
also needs. We also need to address the other problems. We need to address that this conference
oh
layout for
god,
allowing all these teams come in.
yeah,
I don't want to see 6 SEC teams in the top 12. I don't want to see it, and I'm gonna see it. You're gonna find ways for these teams to sneak in more players. You're just going to see it. How many teams are in the Pac-12? Washington, Oregon. Oh, guess what? They're joining the Big Ten. So those are those teams. You know what I mean? Like it's just stacked. It's just immensely stacked, and it's not going to be fair for any other team because you can't justify winning. You can't do it. Like it. I don't. This is another tangent for another time, but this is so important that we talk about this as a just a general rule. The problems won't go away simply because we add more teams to a playoff. Like it will fix it, but it won't. It's like adding a band-aid when someone's arm's being cut off. Like that's not working.
yeah,
That's not gonna work. Like
that ain't working.
that ain't working right. Like you have to literally take care of the problem.
I don't. It's funny because people refer to a lot some issues as like champagne problems in college football because college football just keeps continuing to get like more and more entertaining as time goes on. But the
No, it
problem,
doesn't.
the biggest problem I foresee, and this is probably the last point I'll make tonight, is that it's almost like a really good way of saying like, okay, there's a lower class, a middle class, and an upper class in college football. Like college
Yeah.
football upper class, you saw 6 or 7 teams in, get to the college football playoff or actually win a national title in the how many seasons was it around for? 8, 9 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even a different team every year.
the
Mm.
the snubbing of Florida State. This is not the first time that the committee has done something like this. It has not been as precedented in the way of their snubbing compared to just kicking out an undefeated team. That's ridiculous. They tried it in 2014, realized they couldn't get away with it, and so they didn't do that. Um, but they also did do it in 2023, which is great. But on top of that, Penn State got this hit a couple years, I think like 2014, 2015, 15, 16 or something like that. Penn State should have made it
Mm-hmm.
over Alabama. They did not. USC tried to make it over Alabama. They did not. Like it's just the Alabama for the most part in the couple of seasons incoherent path after another have been kind of the culprit to why this just doesn't happen. And it's so frustrating because everyone puts Alabama at a level or a tier above everybody else simply because of Nick Saban, simply because of the prestige, simply because of the recruiting classes, simply because of everything around the game. But if you want to be the best, win your games. Just win them. Then this wouldn't be an issue. But you don't.
But
You
but it's tough to
barely.
win the SEC, man. It's tough to win the SEC. It's such a hard conference.
I'm sorry. Like every other conference is going to have the same argument. ACC this year, Boston College gave Florida State a run for their money, and it was scary, but they won. At the end of the day, they still ended up winning. Auburn gave Alabama a run for their money. Auburn lost to New Mexico State this year. Auburn lost to New Mexico State this year. A lower five
Mm-hmm.
conference game. Oh, but
And
New
it's
Mexico State,
yeah,
they're better than a Power Five. Is that where argument is? This is just irritating how you do things
yeah.
subjectively. It's so irritating how everything in the sport is subjective. If you want objective results, just let them win games. If you can't win games, then get out of the way.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. That's my. Okay, I'm good now.
Yeah. These teams that are so upset, including your Florida State Seminoles, kind of have an issue with them being really upset with their conference and the deal that they got from them because they don't like that they don't get a majority of the money that comes from it, and they don't want to hand it out evenly across their whole conference, even though they're all the same conference. Same conference.
Mm-hmm.
You all should have the same opportunities. Like share the wealth. Do you not want any? It's just it drives me insane because they're not the only offenders. Obviously, USC and UCLA did the exact same thing with the Pac-12, and that's part of the reason it fell apart was because they had been whispering for 5 to 10 years almost about like wanting to leave because this is the rule. The same rule was applied to them. I don't remember exactly how long ago, between 5 and 10 years ago, and they were just upset that we
This
bring
is
so much stuff to the conference. We bring so much, notoriety, and how dare you put us on the same level as Oregon State or Washington State? And I'm like, what the hell? What? This
hey,
is FBS. This is all the
hey,
same conference.
hey. You want notoriety? Win your games. Win your games.
Win your games.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't don't
Hey,
don't go
win
off of
win your
your
games.
the
Win all of your games, and then you will have notoriety. We love you. Okay, bye bye.
That's all. Okay.
yeah. Basically, that's just the essence of it. It's like win your games. Stop living off of your fucking past. Like
Yeah,
I
seriously.
I will say that. Well, U of M kind of annoys me sometimes because they have the same like arrogance that a lot of bigger teams do. That a lot of teams that are like have a huge past. I will say that they don't get the benefit of a doubt a lot of the times when they're having a rough time.
Mm-hmm.
Like they will just like I mean for a long time they were thrown into the you know power 5 of like oh you're in the middle class now cuz you're not doing well.
Well,
Which
it's really.
I would say that in the SEC the same treatment would be like oh well you're kind of like still upper class but a little less than the other guys so oh you could still have a top 25 spot Tennessee.
Well, it's laughable too because we talk about this.
uh,
This is end up going to be a second two of this party. I'm not this, but like we talk about this too. But this is the hilarious part. If we want to talk about prestige, I mean, frickin' Pittsburgh won 6 national championships. We don't remember it because it was in the 1960s and 70s, but it happened.
did
Pittsburgh was amazing. Georgia Tech. You want to talk about Rudy, like Notre Dame being like this prestige up tier thing? Who was their opponents 5 out of 10 times in that decade? It was Georgia Tech. Like these teams
yeah
from the ACC, you don't give them any love and exoneration. Oh, because they suck for years. Well, okay, but they still have accomplished something that the majority of the league has never done, which was win championships. You cannot say that. We've been so many other teams in the league.
yeah
So
yeah and
let's just
Marshall has an insane history of like coming out of nowhere and winning like all the time for a
yeah.
while way back in
Well, during the
I don't
90s
even know
and
what
early
decade that was.
2000s, they were actually
Early,
I remember them actually being a good team because I remember constantly seeing Marshall be ranked arbitrarily. I would be like,
mm-hmm.
because I used to really pay attention to rankings. This is why I get so heated about these statistics because I look at all the numbers and I'm like, why is Georgia number one? Why did they outdo Michigan? What have they done this season to prove that they're better? They've never done anything to prove that they're better. They're just number one because they were number one last year, which is a fair
Yeah,
argument. Like, I'm not going to hate that argument. Like, okay, I get it. But this year, and their numbers just do not match up to what they did last season.
yeah.
And
A lot of people agree with that same mindset
it's
too.
just like, okay, this is the frustrating part because again, you're going back off subjective things. You're going off of things of like, well, they were good last year. and so they're the king. They should stay the king. No, it's not like it's not an episode of The Lion King or something like that. This is a football game. If you're gonna be good, you gotta be good. You gotta stay good. And if there's teams that are outperforming you from week to week, you should drop. It just should be that way. And you shouldn't just drop arbitrarily simply because it's like, oh, you had a bad week, so therefore we're gonna drop you. No, it should be based off of the statistics and the numbers that have been showing. If you had a bad week, but overall you've been amazing all season, then who cares? That's the point. We need to talk about our ranking system, Gerg. Let's do that next episode, all right?
Yeah, are we even going to say bye to people anymore? Because we're just like, oh, we're sports people now. We don't say hi or bye. So,
You know what?
see you
You
later,
know what?
I guess.
We haven't done one thing. We have to do it.
What?
Guys, we love you. And we want to make this a big thing. Sincerely and truly, I know this is kind of a joke, but sincerely, we want to change football. And we need your help to do it. Because we're just two guys. We are two wise fools trying to make a big difference. We sincerely need your help. Please subscribe. Please comment. Please like. If there's things that you like to hear. If you liked it, yeah. If there's things that you want us to talk about more, we'll try to listen to you. Just let us know. All right.
We're open to different opinions too. Unless they're wrong, then go away.
Oh, if you bring up an opinion and you're wrong, you'll hear it. We know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll explain why we think you're wrong. Because
yeah, we're not.
We're
Just
also just opinions. We're also just opinions. We're using a platform to portray our opinions about college football. So we're not gonna like, oh, you're wrong. Go away. That was just a joke. But yeah. Thanks for listening. Guess we'll see you later.
Yeah, later.